All set.
Yeah.
All right, good evening, everybody. This is the Carver Zoning Board of Appeals. It's December 4th, 2024, and when I left my office to come here tonight, I noticed that there was snow on the ground. So I guess we're officially in winter season now, right? Anyway, we are here in room 4 at Carver Town Hall. And as we customarily do at the beginning of all of our meetings, we ask for review from the board members of the minutes from the previous meeting, which I send out in advance so that we can be sure not to waste anybody's time. Before I get into that, I thank Area 58 for being here tonight. They're recording. And hello to everybody at home. So, does everybody have a copy of the meeting minutes from our last meeting, which was on October 30, 2024?
Yes.
Yep. Has everybody had an opportunity to review those minutes?
Yes.
Yes.
Does anyone have any changes, amendments, or modifications that they would like to make thereto?
No.
No.
Do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as written.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
And they are accepted as written. Thank you for that. We have a couple of cases tonight and also some discussion after those cases that we will be attending to. But first, let's go to our continued public hearing. I see some familiar faces in the audience tonight. This is case 1-18-0-R, the petitioner being Jeffrey Merritt, seeking a special permit pursuant to sections 2245C, 5221, and 5300 and sections following of the Carver zoning bylaw for property located at 2B Andrews Point Road, Assessors Map 1, Lot 18-0-R. And this is to construct, at least based on the initial petition, a 924-square-foot detached garage with playroom and storage area. 700 square feet is allowed as of right in a residential agricultural district. Now, this matter came before the board previously on October 2, 2024, and October 30, 2024. We opened the hearing on the first of those two dates, October 2, and thereafter we did a second hearing, and we also had a site visit. Always nice to have those site visits, especially if there's coffee and donuts waiting. If it's a morning visit and there were no coffee and donuts waiting. So I don't know how this is going to come out for you tonight.
Yeah.
We took you for a nice walk.
You did take us for a nice walk. Thank you for that. And it was a lot warmer then than it is now. So thank you for timing that just right. Okay, one of the things, just to recapitulate here, that we advise the petitioner of is that because this is a two-story that you're requesting, the second floor, which will be a full floor, not one of these hippity-hop to the barbershop second floors, which we see in attics and garages frequently, because it's a second floor that's going to be used, as you indicated, for a playroom and storage area. That second floor, the square footage has to be counted towards the total. So it's really not 924 square feet. It's 1,711 square feet. That's a big difference. So we had to get past that. And you have indicated that you were going to be setting this back about 15 and a half feet from the side yard. You've alleged that this garage would be largely obscured by fir and cedar trees along the side of the property and woods to the rear, yes? And that a dimensional variance of approximately 15 feet would be needed as 30 feet is required for side yard setbacks for two-story structures. Yes?
Correct, yes.
You have alleged that visual impact to the neighbors will be minimal. You've told us that the neighborhood consists of homes and garages similar in size. We've been out there, we've seen this. And you're going to have two bay doors in the front, is that true? With a regular door in between
That's right.
for foot traffic. You're going to have an exterior staircase built on one side of the garage, which would then lead to a deck across the rear, allowing access to that second floor that I talked about.
Yes,
On the second floor, there would be pull-down attic stairs, yes? And going to the attic, which is estimated to be approximately 125 square feet in size.
correct.
The height, what are we talking about height here?
26 foot 11.
You know what, I need a pen too. I come here and people take my pens, I swear. I'm good.
Anyone, are you sure?
I'm good. Thank you. The height again is what?
26 foot 11.
So approximately 27 feet,
Yes.
right? And we talked about how this is off-street parking. You're going to be having availability for cars to park at the property, yes?
Yes.
And lighting. You're going to have an exterior light, are you, on the garage, proposed
Yes.
garage?
I don't have it in the plan yet, but yes, we would definitely.
And it's going to be pointing downward, is that true?
Yes.
That's the plan. Yes, say yes.
Yes.
Okay. I'm leading you through this.
Thank you.
No plans to install indoor plumbing or heat on the first floor, is that correct?
Not on the first floor.
Not on the first floor, but on the second floor, yes.
Yes.
Because we don't want the little children to freeze up there. But the entire garage is going to be wired for electricity, is that true?
Correct, yes.
Now, this garage is going to be an estimated 110 feet from Sampson's Pond?
Actually, when we talked about the setback and we moved it over,
Yes?
we got out of the variance for permit we're needing for the 15 foot, we went to the 30 feet. And I
Yep.
think you folks have the new plan reflecting that. It also allowed us to move it back away from the water even a little bit further. I think we're sitting on 126 feet now.
126 feet, okay.
Mr. Chairman, could I make note that we did do a site walk, and that we received new plans at the October 29th meeting, which we did not review because we did not have a full board.
Right,
30th.
right.
30th meeting, okay? So I'd just like to, as we move through this, go through these new plans because they are substantially different.
Okay, so I'm taking this chronologically. So, the proposed construction, as I understand it, is going to be larger than the existing house, is that true?
Yes,
Okay. And then we talked about having done a site visit, the vice chair just mentioned that as well, and that occurred on October 5, without donuts. And further public hearing was scheduled for the date of October 30th, at which time you told us that the garage had been moved away from the side yard boundary and that you no longer needed a variance for dimensional relief in that respect, correct? And it would be further away from the water, now an estimated 126 feet, as you just said. You told the board at that meeting that you would level the driveway grade,
yes,
which is where the location of the proposed garage is going to be.
yes,
Right now, or at least initially, it was on sort of a hill, right? And you're going to level that and make it the same grade as the driveway, which is next to it.
that's exact, yes.
Yes.
Yep.
And that also will make the proposed construction less obtrusive,
Yes.
in your opinion. Yes?
Yep, yep,
Now, The vice chair has rightfully pointed out that we now have been given a new plan that she has been reviewing over there with her eagle eye. And I would ask Ms. Mello now to take over the hearing and inquire with regard to the newness of the plan and the changes you have made.
And the grade is what I'm questioning,
Okay.
okay? Because when you look at this new plot plan that was given to us,
Yep.
you can see the elevations going up and down.
Okay.
When we did the site walk, we kind of talked about by setting it into that hill, so it wasn't sitting on top of the hill, the stairs would probably be only 3 or 4 stairs.
Yes.
But on this plan, we don't have any grade levels, so we don't know where the driveway is. So we don't know if that hill is actually coming down. So what I wouldn't want to see is that garage sitting on top of that hill, and this doesn't indicate that it's not.
Okay. I know, I wouldn't want to see that either. So where we staked the location, and you folks got to see that, that's exactly where it's going. And the grade that's existing, where the dense grade, say stone dust mixes that we use for our driveway, that is the finished grade. That is one corner of the garage sits on that driveway, say from looking at the face print that you have there.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah, that corner, that left-hand corner is at that spot, right literally where we stood.
You're talking that,
Yes, yep.
okay.
So then, you know, to the right of that gets into the hill a little bit like you talked about?
Well,
And-
I guess
Go
because we were so concerned about that hill and the height of the hill
Sure.
and how it's at, why wasn't grading put on here so that we could say, you know, here's the driveway, which sits at
Can I go
0.
up here so I can see that, please? Oh, okay.
So there's no
Yeah,
elevations on there.
okay, yeah, that's what these topo marks are, but you're right, it doesn't have the...
It doesn't
give
indicate
the
anything to
indications.
us.
I gotta-
Well, and if this goes through, it's going to be subject to the plans on record, right? So
Yeah.
they've got to be accurate at the time of, yeah.
And also, the height of the building, as we did some research on this, the height of the building's about 6 feet too high for a 2-story. No accessory building can be higher than 20 feet.
Well, Mr. Poirier raises a good point, and it is frequently the case, and everyone up here will attest to this, that when we vote in favor of granting a special permit or a variance or variances, as we would need to do in this case, that we make the grant of the relief subject to the plans of record. And we have plans that are not based on our expectations or yours. You had indicated that you're going to take down that hill. And now we have plans that still show that the hill is present, as I understand it.
Or you can't tell how much of the hill is coming down, if
Right.
any.
Right. So that's one issue, isn't it, Mr. Barrington? By the way, nice sweater.
Oh, thank you.
And then the other issue is height. What are we going to do with height? The other issue can be rectified, right?
Yeah.
You just get a better plan drawn, or an amended plan drawn, so that that hill goes away,
Yep.
or basically goes away. And that was important, I think, to all of us who were at that site visit, am I right? Ms. Dahl,
Yep.
Ms. Cohen?
I was unable to make it.
And did you go back at a later date and
No, I did not.
spy the area? Okay. But I think all of us were concerned about that hill.
Okay.
And I know you wanted to get rid of it too, but now we have a plan that still shows it's there. So,
And we did indicate that the height of the building was going, if it sat down, because your house is 2 stories high. We did talk about the height of the building being less than the height of your house. I don't know by how much. So what the bylaws say is 10 feet less than the height of your house. And that's why the topography is so important.
Okay.
Because if the building you've got here is gonna be 4 feet less than the height of your house, you only have to you gotta find a way to lower it 6 feet. Maybe it's that walk-up attic.
Yeah, I mean, the downside of that is that's all truss design. Actually, it's already like a 4-pitch roof.
Yeah.
That means I have to lower it to literally a flat roof. I just
Yeah,
can't think how that would
no.
happen.
In our area, that's not probably a good solution.
Yeah. I mean, as far as the topo, I mean, I would never want to have the garage up on the hill like that, like, just, we sort of want to dig into that, keep it down as low as possible.
Yeah,
It would
that's
look better
what
for
we all
everybody,
talked
for the
about.
neighbors and everything, so.
Yeah, the neighbors wouldn't be too happy to have that up there.
No, they've been
Where
very
we
good.
saw it,
No-
yeah.
well, yeah,
and we know it's your intent to bring it down.
no, yeah.
It's just not showing yet.
If, I was gonna say, could we go through the rest and I get those and amend the plans and get them to you? Or is that something I have to do that first and then come back? Or what has to happen there? I don't.
Well, we have a height issue too, right? So I think the plans may need to be shown to us before we go to a vote. It's regrettable, because this is the third go-around
Yeah.
with a site visit in between. So we have earned our meager salaries on this case.
Can I just say too, on this page here, it shows a height difference of
Yeah.
like 5 feet.
Yeah,
That hill is significantly higher than 5 feet.
yeah.
That's because we moved it over this way.
I know
30
you
feet,
can,
yeah.
right, but I mean,
I
when
see,
when we looked at it, I think we thought the height was gonna be more like
That is
here.
correct, yes.
And it was gonna be 3 or 4 steps, and this is a full flight.
Yeah, exactly. That's because these ones, the way these steps are drawn,
Yeah.
actually go out into the existing grade of the existing driveway. When we bring it this way, that 15 feet into the hill, you're right, it allows us to cut these steps off to some number. I don't know exactly, but it's like 3 or 4, like
Yeah,
you say.
but it doesn't show that. It shows a full flight.
Who did your plan?
Our architect down the Cape,
Okay, well,
Chris Ellis.
the architect down the Cape needs to improve this plan for you.
Yeah.
What's your site on the height in the bylaws?
On the height, it says,
What's the site?
pardon me?
Do you know what the site is, the site, the
It's in
number?
the definition.
Definitions, okay.
I just want to point out that the grade part of it hasn't been updated for the October. So currently, like this top page that he resubmitted was done October 16th. The rest of these were all done back in July, so these weren't updated, but the top level was.
So the top level very well could be correct, but that's not what we're seeing.
Right, and the reason we went back there was to satisfy the 30 feet. So I'm sure they just did update the one
Right.
page, thank you.
Yep.
They didn't go probably through the rest of them, actually moved the structure.
Right.
So it says accessory building or structure shall mean a building or structure subordinate to the principal
Yep.
building. No accessory building or structure may be higher than 20 feet or 10 feet less than the height of the principal building or structure on the lot, whichever is greater. And then it defines it as garage, tool shed, shop, well house.
Speaking for us all up here, I know that you're trying to work this out. And I know that you have moved some things around to try to get to a yes from us.
Okay.
And I think you're moving in the right direction, except the official plan still, as Ms. Cullum just pointed out, are not reflective of those changes.
No, I understand that.
So I shouldn't say we, speaking for myself, I think we need to see new plans before we go to a vote. Every once in a great while, we'll say, okay, well, there's a minor thing here, one little thing, so we'll go ahead and vote and grant whatever it is the person is looking for, subject to a change in the plans that would then have to be filed with the building commissioner. But I think we need to see new plans in this case, because we're not just talking about one little thing. We're talking about height, and we're talking about having the appropriate plans on record, so that when you go to the building commissioner, you don't get bounced out again,
Okay.
Right, makes sense.
right? You don't want that.
Nope,
No, I understand.
nope, come this far, right?
I mean, technically, on any case that comes before us, we can order the building commissioner to do whatever we see fit based upon application, interpretation, and enforcement of the bylaws. So we're kind of like his boss in that regard, but I don't want to hamstring him either. If the plans are still not right, then you need to speak to that person out on the Cape, in my view, anyway. But what's your feeling on this, Ms. Dahl?
Yeah, just have them update everything, that way you're covered. Nobody questions.
And you
it.
need to think about the height.
Yeah.
I think the grade thing can be fixed pretty easily by just, revising the plans and showing that the grade is now more even and not hilly like we saw. But the height thing is something going to need to work out, because that's going to involve design change, as Ms. Mel pointed out.
Do you know the height of the house?
It's just over 26 feet from ground. Well, okay, it's between 26 and 27.
So the garage would be basically the same height as the house.
Same height, same roof pitches, same, that we really wanted all that to match. Was
Yeah.
sort of the reason we went the direction we did, and, yeah. So they're within a foot and a half of each other at least, so you're gonna be right in that 26, 27 foot range.
What can this man do about this? Mr. Poirier, you have any thoughts?
This is the first time I've run up against a height restriction, so I'm not sure.
You're listening. Mr. Fancy Sweater over there. What do you say, Mr. Barrington?
Well, obviously, we need to get the corrections.
What about height? Talk to me about height.
Height.
How can we help this man with a height issue?
Well, obviously, a flat roof isn't going to work here in New England. So I don't know what the height is that you're planning for the rooms up, that is upstairs. How much attic space?
How tall are the ceilings upstairs?
The storage rooms, like in the back, have 8-foot walls. It's flat ceiling, and then over that is 5.5 feet to the peak of the truss. So it's just high enough to get like that 4 pitch in the back.
Yep.
Do you need that attic?
I really, we could go one way or the other with that, but even if that weren't there, I still have that space that would be the peak of the roof to get the pitch that's needed, right, to get that 4 pitch. And 4 pitch is already a pretty short slope.
So the 4 pitches to be able to, have some room to move along the sides, otherwise you're just gonna have a narrow walk.
Corridor, yes.
Yep.
Does anyone else have any thoughts, questions?
Have we ever
Concerns?
run up against a height issue within its, they've always been like 18 feet,
Yeah.
13 feet, 18 feet.
Yeah, we've never had one this high before that I can recall.
Well, it is gonna sit, can I say this? It's gonna
Yes.
sit lower than the house, just not by 10 feet. Can you find that out?
This won't be lower than the house.
The pitch of this roof, I thought.
Oh, no, the pitch is the same.
No, but I thought when we did the site walk, we talked about the height of this building
Yep.
versus the height of the house.
Yep.
And I thought on the site walk, we it was indicated to us that once this sat low on the grade, that it would be lower than the pitch of the house, the height of the house. Can you find that out?
I can, I don't think there's, but I can find that out.
I'm just trying to find it.
I'm just thinking how the driveway goes and the property goes, and it's kind of up at slight also. I think there's at least a 5-foot grade change there.
Mr. Barrington?
How high is the garage, the first floor? Is that 8-something, 10?
Yeah, the regular rooms in the back, you know, flat ceiling, that's an 8-foot ceiling.
Okay.
The
So,
ones in the front have, it's opened up a little bit more, just because we don't have that flat ceiling in front.
the garage bay,
Oh, I'm sorry. The garage bay, those are 10 foot, 11, almost 11 foot.
That's high.
so could we lose a couple feet there?
You have some big vehicles, do you? You have an oversized pickup or something?
Okay, all right.
Thank you for working.
That's important. I want to-
No, thank you. Yeah.
We are trying. Here's what I think you need to do. I think you need to sort of catch your breath, go back to the drawing board, talk to your architect, and see what might be able to be done. And then we can come back in short order and have at this again. I hope you sense that we're trying to work with you on this,
Thank you.
right? I think you know that. If you don't, then you're not hearing us. We are trying to work with you.
Yeah.
But for those of you watching tonight in this room and also at home, there are bylaws that we must attend to. And these are the laws of Carver. And we have to comply with those laws unless there are very specific circumstances that allow for exceptions. Those circumstances are generally found in state law. So we sit up here as interpreters of those bylaws, and we are kind of the guardians at the gate. If we allow everything to go through that comes before us, then we really don't have bylaws anymore, right? And then the character of the town will change. We're not here to change bylaws, we're here to make sure that they are complied with, barring certain exceptions, which we do allow for fairly regularly. But this is significant when we have a plan that still doesn't reflect what your intentions are, number one. And number two, we have not a height issue of 1 or 2 feet, but 10 feet that's going to make this as tall as your house, and it's still, according to the plan, sitting on that hill. So, you get it, I hope.
Yes.
So I think my suggestion for tonight would be that we continue the matter again. Mr. Poirier likes continuances because we can keep going quickly through our agenda.
I don't have anything to do with this one, so
That's true.
Ms. Dahl is voting on my stead on this one. so.
Ms. Mello? Thoughts, questions, concerns?
I hope we can figure this out.
Well, the fact is that sometimes, no matter how we try to contort ourselves, we're left with the law. And I learned many years ago that the law is not always fair and not always just, but it's got to be applied equally for everybody, right? And sometimes it's very unpopular to do that. We're not here to do what's in your best interests or even what is in the best interests of the town of Carver, because the best interests of the town of Carver have already been expressed, right? This is the Bible. So it's hard for a lot of people to accept, but we'll try to wiggle and contort with you as best we can the next time. Bring us better plans and think about a revised design on the height, and we'll go through it again.
Very good, thank you.
So let's talk about a date. Oh, Mr. Barrington would like to speak.
No,
I thought he was wiggling his pen for a reason. Okay, can we pull out calendars and phones and check to see when we can do this again with these nice people?
January 8th?
Or 15th.
Now, you're going to have to get together with your friend on the Cape.
Yes.
And we are in the holiday season now, so basically everything from, I would say, the week before Christmas all the way through to the end of the month,
Pretty much.
don't plan on getting anybody to do what you want them to do. So I'm thinking the 15th would probably be better. Do you have a construction timeline or guideline? When were you thinking about doing this? And don't tell me,
Supposed to be done by now.
don't tell me 6 months ago.
They have their Christmas tree ready.
Okay, all right. So how about the 15th? Just so we can play it safe and you can get the documentation that you need
That'd be
done.
good.
Okay.
If we end up changing our time to meet, because that's something we're going to discuss tonight, would it be a problem for you to come in a little bit earlier in the day?
6 or 6:30 instead of,
Okay.
So January 15th,
yep.
and if you want to hang around to hear us discuss some things after the next case, you can. Or you can just read the minutes when they become available in the next few days. Okay, because you probably have some holiday shopping to do. So January 15th, time to be determined. You'll see it within the next few days.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay.
You good now?
Good night.
Happy
Good
holidays.
night.
You too.
Merry Christmas.
Okay, our next case is case number 18-21-1-R, the petitioners being Jeffrey and Deborah Silva. Are they here tonight? Hello. And you're seeking dimensional variances pursuant to section 5222 of the Carver zoning bylaw for a property located at 199 Plymouth Street in Carver. That's Assessor's Map 12, Lot 2-1-R. So as to construct a 32 by 40 square foot, 3-car garage. Now, that amounts to 1,281 square feet,
Correct.
according to your petition. And this is all to be done in a residential agricultural district. And dimensional variances are being requested due to the need for side setback relief, in this case, section 2320. You need approximately 15 feet when 30 feet is required, right? Floor area, so that's section 2245. You have a 700 square feet maximum, which is allowed under the bylaw, but you are looking for 1,280 square feet. And height. You heard our discussion about height a minute ago. The definition section indicates that no accessory building or structure may be higher than 20 feet or 10 feet less than the height of the principal building or structure on the same lot, whichever is greater. She read that to you in the previous case. Now, the building plan in this case displays a structure of 30 feet 8 inches from the finished grade. So you are over the height allowed as well. So, after having read this into the record, would you people like to come up in the front row, or would you like to stay right where you are and address us?
I'm comfortable here. I have a big voice, so, and I'm going to try to do the speaking as clearly as possible.
Well, I'm comfortable with you having sitting there. If
Okay,
you want to
great.
stay there, that's
Thank
fine
you.
by us.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, so I'm going to turn the meeting over to you, and you can talk to us a little bit about this 3-car garage.
Okay. Okay. It's been a vision for a long time, and we're trying to make it happen. The location sits approximately somewhere between 80, 85 feet from behind our home. So we have, initially, we built our home on an acre. We've since inherited 1.75 acres that encompass this property, around 2/3 of the property, and we have one physical abutter that sits to our right if you are facing from the road.
So the additional acreage, sorry to interrupt, is contiguous with the original 1 acre that you had?
Yep.
Go ahead.
Yep. So it completely encompasses it. So we kind of changed things around because we had a driveway that took us out back behind our home, behind our fenced-in backyard, to this big, flat, open area that we realized would be the only option for us to build a garage. Our need for a garage is because we have 6 cars, with 6 adults living in our home, plus a motorcycle. We are currently paying, honestly, through the nose, to store one vehicle through the winter months 2 towns over.
You got a lot of getaway vehicles. Are the cops after you or what?
Yes.
Yes.
Right, but nowhere to put them. So, and when it snows, we kind of cry and fight with each other about who's gonna go out there first and start clearing stuff off. So, it's kind of a first world problem hardship that we face. We do have a senior citizen living in our home who's 81, who still drives and drives pretty well. And so being able to store some of the vehicles that are for priority would be a great relief to us. And where this proposed garage sits so far back, and again, with only one physical abutter, I actually took a walk next door to our abutter, and I made copies. I sat with them and showed them what we were doing, and they were happy to sign if I can approach, a letter stating that they support this project as submitted to you, because they received the letter that was sent out.
The abutter letter.
The public
Yep,
notice.
the abutter letter, yes. So they're our only physical abutter. And then, of course, the majority of everybody else who sits in this room right now are relatives, because this is old family land that's been in the family for like over 100, I want to say over 100 years. Our first grandchild was just born, and she's our 6th generation on the street.
Wow, congratulations. That's
Carver
awesome.
resident, so yeah. I don't believe this is a building that would be really viewable or stand out from the road because it sits so far back. We only take down, we have a lot of pine trees that surround us. There is, it's all flat, and then it drops off down to the abutting cranberry bog. And the owner's sitting right over there. So.
After where the structure's going to be? Past where the structure's going to be? Is that what you're
Yeah,
saying? Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Floor is still yours.
Okay, so, I mean, aside from that, we're not looking to do anything crazy with the building. It's simply to store the vehicles and then storage upstairs. We're not looking to put any bedrooms or bathrooms or any plumbing or anything crazy like that. We're gonna have electricity, and then, you know, possibly some type of like electrical heat or something just on the main level. And that's about it, really. There's, the building itself, the builder that we chose, it's, you can speak on that. The company it's an Amish, built structure that comes out of Pennsylvania. They've done some work for us in the past. So, that's about it, really.
Okay. In my role as chair, it falls to me from time to time, and also based on what you just heard, to discuss the application of state law to local bylaws. So what we do up here is a little bit complex and sometimes misunderstood by people. So I want to lay this out for you right now. There is a section of state law, a chapter of state law, Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 40A. And what it says is that for local zoning boards to legally grant variances, one or more of three different things have to be shown by the petitioner. First, the petitioner has to show that there's something unusual about the shape of the lot which would require the waiving of the amount of footage that would otherwise be necessary under the local bylaws. So shape. Topography is another one. If the land is not flat, if there's something going on with grade that's unusual, distinct from other property in the immediate district or area. So shape, topography, and soil is the last one. If there's something about the soil that would require the siting of a structure where you want to do it, which would in turn require a variance under the bylaw, then you need to speak about that. And things like wells would fall under the soil application, or
Gas lines.
gas lines, yes, and also septic tanks, that kind of stuff. So I'm going to throw this back before we start chewing this up on our end. I want to throw this back to you for now, and I want you to explain to me, other than what you said initially about how this has always been a dream of yours to get the garage there, and it's really going to be helpful to you and your family, and all the cars, and all this and that and the other thing. So leave that behind for now. Where you want to put this is where you need to talk to us.
Okay.
Okay? So is there a shape, soil, or topography issue away or from where you want to site it, according to the map, or a completely different location on the property that requires you to put it where you want to put it, which then triggers this need for dimensional variances?
Yes, yes. So initially, we had an architect come out to the home, and we were looking at either placing the garage on the left or the right side of the house, attached to the house or even detached to the house. We simply, when we initially built the home, we had to get a variance. We actually had to go in front of the ZBA now I'm aging myself, y'all gonna know how old I am, about 35 years ago. And we were granted permission to do so, but we have very little area, even for the blacktop, that's where our driveway sits. We only have in one corner, maybe 3 feet, 4 feet before we're at the neighbor's property line. So we're that close, we're less than what was required at the time. So there's simply no room to put the garage on that one side. On the opposite side sits a 30-year-old beautiful Japanese maple that I will not take down. Along with other mature landscaping, we have irrigation lines, we have professional fencing installed, along with 15, 20-foot arborvitaes that line the side of the house. It would require us to completely gut all of that out and start from scratch for us to build the garage. When we started getting into the financial piece of it and looking at the options, this was realistically the best option. This was suggested to us by the architect.
In other words, citing it where you cite it here on this drawing, right?
Yeah.
So not hearing anything about soil.
Yep.
Apparently that's not an issue for you. And not hearing anything about topography, correct?
Correct.
So it basically comes down to shape. Make the argument. Why does it have to be where it's cited here based on the shape of the lot?
Because if you look at the shape of our lot, it is what your typical family land inherited down through generations land. It's not a square. It looks like a broken piece of pizza.
Well, there's a lot of property like that in Carver.
Yeah.
Just ask the cranberry growers.
Yeah.
Right?
But it's funky for sure. And also, I mean, we have had it marked with granite. We've had surveyors come out multiple times, and every time we've had them come out, they always comment about the odd shape. This is the only area that provides us with a realistic spot for this building to go without it being awkward and out of place.
I think putting it within the bylaws would put the building actually in the middle and not over to the right where I would have less space to park vehicles and make turns and things like that.
Yeah, and that's well said. I was going to ask you, why don't you just push it over 15
Yeah.
feet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would.
That way you don't need a variance, for
It would look-
for that anyway.
Yeah, and it would, if you looked at the way that our house faces, if you moved it out 15 feet, it would actually pull it to
The middle.
the middle to the opposite side of the house, and it would just, it would sit like an anchor back there. It would just be, and there would be no, it would defeat the purpose of bringing in that driveway, because the way the driveway, which is drawn in, you're able to go back there with a car, and you can visualize being able to pull in and out and turn around. It's, all the space is there.
It sounds to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, because as my wife says, I'm often wrong. It sounds to me like your argument is based more on aesthetics than need, based on shape. If you moved it over, maybe it wouldn't look as good, but then you wouldn't need that variance anymore.
I think if you looked at it, it doesn't, it visually does not make sense to pull it out another 15 feet. Plus, you're now contending with the sand pit.
If there's a sand pit there, we could go and look at that.
Here's a sand pit.
But your plan
I don't see on
indicates
this.
75 feet on one side and 15 feet on the other. So we want to minimize, you're asking for 15 feet, you need 30. We want to minimize that as much as possible if we can't eliminate it.
What's the most that you think you could come in on that side? Do you think you can come in another, like 10 feet or
Possibly 10 feet.
possibly 10 feet?
Yeah.
Mr. Barrington, what say you?
Well, I was going to ask the same question of why you couldn't move it to the left.
Well, she's just explained.
Yep.
Mr. Poirier?
That was going to be my question as well.
So, ladies, is there anything further you want to say about that piece of this case?
No.
No.
What were you going to say?
I was just gonna say, if you, from the, I don't wanna keep, like, I don't wanna over-explain it, but if you looked at our existing backyard, we have, and you stand out in the backyard, we have a pool to the left, a pergola. Everything is symmetrical, and I understand, yes, it's aesthetics, but it makes sense. On the right, we have a long, because the property line kind of, it angles with our neighbor.
For me.
And so along that angle, we have a shed that we've had for quite some time, and the shed is in line with the property line. So I think for us, it just made sense for the garage to be in line with the shed so that it's neat, if that makes sense.
From your perspective, it makes sense? Yes? Mr. Silva, what do you say? Has she done a good job?
Yes, yeah.
All right, let's go on to, without commenting further on this, because you've explained the position, and I think we've expressed our concerns, and there's no sense to keep chewing on this. Floor area. You're allowed 700 square feet by right. You're looking for another 580 feet. Talk to me about that. Why do you need all that extra footage?
The floor.
It's basically just for storage and working on cars.
Is there a second floor?
There is.
There is.
Well, it's storage, though. It's not,
Is it a full floor?
Yes, it is a full floor.
In other words, it's not just beams that you have to hop along.
Walk out.
All right, you need to measure that for us, because we count that square footage, as you heard on the previous case. That's nothing new for us. Whenever there's a second floor, we count that towards the square footage. That only makes common sense, I think.
And
So-
with the height of the building being 30 feet, I would like to see plans for the building. I think you guys Generally, if we when we grant variances for these oversized garages, and they come in before us on a regular basis, the plans that come in with the garage, if the variance is granted, it is based upon the plans of record. So we need to see what you're going to build there.
Okay.
Because in the past, what has been told to us and what we have signed off for, and I'm talking years ago, is not what ended up being built because there wasn't a physical picture
Okay.
of what.
I gave those to
Oh,
the town
you did
hall.
pass
Yeah,
them in.
I did pass them in, yes.
Oh,
So I
Do we
thought
have them?
They should
No.
have went to you when we got.
Do we have them?
Yeah, I
No.
don't
No,
have
we
anything
don't.
on the
And that is
bill.
not
Your version of this
Oh,
one.
and I was gonna make copies too,
Yeah.
but I assumed that you
No,
guys had them too.
that's not on
Okay.
you.
Okay.
If it was passed in, it should have come.
Yeah, because we
Come to our
have all the
Excellent.
plans.
Thank you.
On October 16th, 2024, you were written to by the building commissioner. And one of his expressed concerns was that the building plans and drawings are at that time, I'm talking October 16th now, about 6 weeks ago, incomplete as submitted, incomplete. Your plan will need to include, he says, foundation frost protection, portal frame detail, roof truss engineering, and anchoring details. I don't know what all that stuff is. I'm a lawyer. I'm not an engineer or a building expert. But these are the kinds of things that you're going to have to show on your plans. And if they have not been shown yet, if what you say you passed in more recently is not complete, you know what's going to happen. He's going to bounce them out again. So you don't want that to happen,
No.
right? So, to recapitulate, I think we need to do a site visit, my opinion. I think we need to go out
I
there
agree.
and check this out,
Yep.
right? And our policy here is, one of us up here feels as if they want to do a site visit, then we all go. And unfortunately, these people didn't have coffee and donuts, so make sure we're taken care of.
I heard that.
All kidding aside, though, I think that we should do that, and I think you should also get all the building plans and drawings updated and
Okay.
together, so that you can address these issues that are raised by the building commissioner in his letter of October 16th. Because we don't want to have you come back, as pleasant as both of you are, and talk to us again about what you'd like to do, and then we still don't have the plans and drawings that we need.
Okay. And
He wouldn't allow it to go through without those plans and drawings. And he's right not to have let it go through. The visit is to also look at the lot, the shape, and whether there's any possibility this can be moved a bit to minimize the 15 feet, not necessarily eliminate it, but at least get it down to a smaller number. As Ms. Mello correctly points out, we try to do that in every case.
Sure.
I can see on that side you're tight to that one boundary. So people are saying, well, if you move it over a bit, but it may throw everything out of alignment, as you say, it might not look as aesthetically pleasing. Guess what? That's not the law. But if we can help you a little bit, we'll try to do that.
And it's also the side that has the pool.
Well, we don't want to interfere
So that
with the
would-
pool.
Yeah, that would change that.
Right.
Because we need to stay away from that.
Right. So, there's a lot of moving pieces here, aren't
Yeah.
there? And it's a complicated picture that you present, but not an overwhelming one. I think that maybe if you work with us and get your plans and drawings updated and come back, we will have done the site visit by then. And you also, very importantly, need to measure that second floor of the proposed structure, because that is included in the total square footage. So it's not really what you say you need, which is 1,280 square feet. 1,280 is the first floor, am I correct?
Yes.
Right,
So
so we need to see what that second floor is all about. And, if you're going to get over 2,000 square feet, that's a big garage.
I know.
What's the biggest one we've ever permitted, Ms. Mello?
I I think it was between 18 and 1900.
Yeah, I think it was just under 2,000.
That's for residential, though, right? Not agriculture. Right? That's for residential.
It's residential, this is residential. So,
Yeah, it's not, this is not a commercial building.
No, I know, but agriculture is
agriculture,
That's
different
different.
rules,
different rules.
different rules. So,
Do we need to address the height as well before?
yes, we need to address the height.
Yeah,
Ms. Mello is our resident expert on height.
she is.
Great.
Go ahead, Ms. Mello. You understand what I read initially, which is,
The height of a detached accessory building, which is what this is, a garage, can't be higher than 20 feet or 10 feet less than the height of your principal structure. So if your principal structure is 30 feet high, you could go 20 feet. If it's 40 feet high, you could go 30 feet. But if you, it appears from what was given us, you have a raised ranch. It's probably, I guess, not more than 32 feet.
It's a raised ranch with a hip roof.
Yep.
On the back. So
Yep.
we've actually gained, there's a couple of feet there.
So
Good.
the height of, whatever the
Good.
height of your roof is,
Yeah.
this structure would need to be 10 feet less than that.
okay? And it's a big garage because you're trying to fit in all these vehicles and the motorcycle.
Yeah.
So that's something else that you need to come back and talk to us about, is height. If the hip roof in the back is higher than the highest point of the primary residence, or the primary building, you talk to us about the highest point,
The highest peak.
right? The highest peak, even though it's not as high throughout the entire home itself. Okay? So we'll work with you on that as well. But you got some things to think about and some things to take care of. Now, building plans, when are you thinking about getting going? Is this a spring project, or are you going to do it in the winter?
We were gonna do it in the winter.
The winter is upon us,
We do.
right?
Yeah. We
It's
have-
no longer coming, it is upon us.
Right, right. We've got everybody on standby.
So we will get you back in here on the 15th of January, if that's acceptable. You've got some homework to do anyway, and as I pointed out to the other nice people, the last 2 weeks of this month, everything is
Right. Yeah.
in a standstill anyway. But if you need any direction or any assistance, don't call us. Call the building inspector. Okay, we're off limits until we get back into public session. So we're all very nice, but we're not going to talk to you after we conclude this evening. Right, Ms. Cullum?
That's correct.
Yes, she's,
Hardcore.
she is very, very firm about these things. Deborah, is there anything else that I can help you guys
Site
with?
visit.
Do we want to
Site
schedule?
visit.
Yeah.
Site visit.
Yeah, January 15th. And we don't have a time yet. If you want to hang out for a little bit, we'll be able to give you a time in a little while. Or if you want to go home and have a hot toddy, that's okay too. And check the website, or you can call the planning office in about a week,
I'll do that.
and you'll have the time.
I work from home, so I'm available anytime, so it really doesn't matter when it is.
Yeah, the
We
plan, I'll,
usually do the site walks on Saturdays.
yes. So the next public hearing, the continued public hearing will be on the 15th, and we'll give you time for that. But we will now talk to you and schedule specifically the site walk. And that site walk, Mr. Poirier, should be when? He's got a calendar more complicated than mine.
Just got a little blue dots on it, and
So,
so,
little dots.
What about January 4th?
January 4th.
no.
No.
And I cannot do the 14th,
Of January.
no, of December.
So it's either this Saturday or the 21st.
I would rather not do it this Saturday, but I am available on the 21st.
We also have the 28th.
What's that?
Saturday,
Oh.
the 28th.
Yeah, what about that?
I can't do the 28th.
What's that?
She can't do the 20th, so it's going to have to be the 21st. See, this is a
Okay.
major sacrifice. He has to really think this through. So,
21st.
21st,
21st on this case,
9 a.m.?
9 a.m. Is that okay with you?
Perfect.
It's December 2nd.
December 21st, the Saturday before the holiday.
And that is,
December 21st.
what number, Plymouth?
199?
Yep.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you'd like to mention to us? Both of you have been great. Thanks for
Thank you.
presenting tonight.
You've all been
Appreciate
great.
your
Thank you so much.
patience with us. We're constrained by these bylaws,
Right.
all right? And we have to abide by the laws, as does everybody, barring certain exceptions. And you may fall under these exceptions. We'll see.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good holiday.
And we're going to see them before the holiday.
I can wish them one early.
Yes, you
Wish 'em
can.
one now, and wish them one again
Yes,
when I
you
see them
can.
on the 29th.
You may approach.
You read into the record the erroneous
I read something
Map number.
erroneous.
map number, which doesn't match.
Oh, it's map 12, is
No,
it?
it's map 18.
Map 18. So let me,
And you read it earlier on as well. I have no idea if it matters, but I'd give
well,
you-
thank you for your
Heads up.
eagle eye.
It does.
And I am going to correct now for the record that we were referencing, or should have referenced, map 18, lot 2-1-R, as to this particular property, otherwise known as 199 Plymouth Street.
I just didn't want you to come back and bite you in the...
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, should we make a motion to close the hearing and continue it?
We'll make a motion not to close, but to
But
continue.
to continue it?
Yes. Map 18. Your motion to continue the hearing until, actually, we'll do a bifurcated motion. We'll do a motion to do a site visit on the 15th at 9 a.m.
No, 21st.
The
21st, see, my
December.
dates now are all messed up. December 21, 9 a.m. is a site visit.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then we'll continue the public hearing on this case until the date of January 15th.
So moved.
Second.
All in
Aye.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
This one's got a mind like a steel trap tonight.
Can I ask a question? Because I might be blanking, but did we close the hearing for, or did we continue the hearing for the case before this?
I don't recall whether we did, but we wouldn't want to, we wouldn't want to close it anyway. It would be-
Okay.
we wanna
Well,
keep
let's
it open.
continue it just in case.
All right, so
Yeah.
we're going to continue that first case to the date of
January.
January 15th.
I'll make
Time to
that
be
motion.
determined. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so those two cases, both are continued. We won't go to decision on either one of those tonight because the parties still have some work to do and we have some as well. Now we're going to move on to the discussion phase. And we'll take up the first of the items that we had sort of been carrying for the last couple of meetings, and that is start time. I'm not quite sure how this issue became an issue for us. I don't know who raised it initially. Was it you, Ms. Cullum?
It was not an issue, it was a suggestion.
She's turning pink on me. I know it was Ms. Cullum, who has family responsibilities, as do we all, and she was suggesting that it would be beneficial and appreciated, at least on her end, to begin at a time earlier than 7 p.m. So I held off on this because a couple of people were absent, and I wanted everybody to weigh in and see what their thoughts were on this. Your options are 6, 6:30, or 7.
What happened to 4 PM?
I'm still at work.
That's another ZBA. That's the shadow ZBA.
And then I could go out for my early bird special after.
There you go.
You're ready for Florida if you're talking about early bird specials.
I'll be there in spirit.
I knew there was a reason that I liked you, Fran.
So,
I am all on board for 6 o'clock or 6:30, whatever works best for the rest of the committee.
Same.
Same.
Mr. Barrington,
6 or 6:30 is fine.
All right, well, I'll tell you, 6 does not work for this guy.
It's too early for you?
Yeah, I'm still working 6 o'clock hours. So I'll move it to 6:30, if everybody can live with that.
Yep.
But not
Sure.
before. Is that okay?
Yep.
We'll try
Sounds like a
before again
wonderful
next year.
compromise.
You what?
I said, it sounds like a wonderful compromise.
Yes. So does somebody want to make a motion to move our subsequent public hearing dates to 6:30 as
I
opposed to
will
7?
make a motion to move our public hearing dates from 7 PM to 6:30 PM.
Mr. Barrington?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now, the condition on this is that a room will be available. Things are going to have to get moved around a bit, because I know some boards and commissions start earlier than 7, and so hearing rooms might be at a premium. So I'll let you folks know, but at least I now have the edict from the board that, we're available to do this at 6:30.
You have a large house.
Yes, I do.